What does it take to own a soul? Not through chains, those are easy to break, but through a cage made of gratitude, the kind of planning that looks at an 8-year-old girl crying over a scraped knee and thinks, in 10 years, you will think I am the only person who can heal you. What kind of mind builds a future on a child's grief? And what kind of desperation makes a daughter realize that to save her mother's sanity, she has to expose the man who saved their lives? October 12th, 2024. Oakhaven Estates, suburbs of Atlanta, 600 in the evening. The golden hour. The smell of expensive mulch and charcoal grills. A neighborhood where nothing loud ever happens. A 26-year-old woman in a professional blazer standing on a manicured lawn clutching a folder of bank statements like a shield. A 54-year-old man, the neighborhood saint, standing in the doorway of a house paid for with 18 years of lies. And in the driveway, a 48-year-old mother in a floral sun hat, her hand on the ignition, 18 years of indebtedness finally dissolving like salt and rain. 10 minutes later, the saint was in hand. One daughter was shaken on the curb, and one mother was staring at a man she had worshipped for 2 decades, finally seeing the predator beneath the pedestal. But to understand those 10 minutes, you need to understand the 18 years before them, because this isn't a story about a white-collar crime. This is a story about the geography of isolation, about how a predator understands that the best way to keep a bird from flying is to convince it the sky is dangerous. Welcome to True Crime Frontier. If you seek stories that don't just shock you but dismantle how you understand trust, you're in the right place. Drop your location in the comments. We are a global community looking for the truth in the shadows. Over the next hour, I'm going to show you how a hero isn't always who he seems. The first time Elena Vance felt the world collapse, she was 30 years old and holding a foreclosure notice. September 14, 2006, Savannah, Georgia. The kind of humidity that sticks to your skin and makes every movement feel like a struggle. Inside a house that smelled of cinnamon and fading joy, Elena sat at a kitchen table while her life turned into a math problem she couldn't solve. Her husband David had been dead 6 months, a freak accident on a construction site that left her with a mountain of debt and an 8-year-old daughter named Maya. The bank didn't care about grief. The light company didn't care about the empty chair at the dinner table. The hole in Elena's world was physical. It was the silence in the hallway. It was Maya, once a vibrant child, now a ghost who sat in the corner of her room refusing to speak. Enter Julian Vane, 36 years old. A family friend, a man who smelled of expensive cologne and solutions. Julian didn't just offer a shoulder to cry on. He offered a checkbook. He paid the mortgage. He fixed the leaking roof. He sat on the floor with her puzzles when Elena was too tired to breathe. "Thank you, Julian," Elena whispered one night, her head on his shoulder. "I don't know what I'd do without you." She felt a warm glow of safety. She didn't realize she just handed him the keys to her daughter's life. Being helped felt like being saved. Being saved felt like being owned. By the time Maya was 12, Julian was the silent architect of their lives. He didn't move in, not yet. That would have been too obvious. Instead, he made himself the only resource. If Elena wanted to go back to school, Julian picked the university. If Maya wanted to join soccer, Julian told her the coach wasn't trustworthy and suggested private lessons with a friend of his instead. He was a master of the us versus them dynamic. "Your mother is fragile, Maya," he'd whisper. "We have to protect her. Don't tell her about the money I gave you for that dress. She'll feel guilty. This is our little secret. Secrets are the mortar of a prison." By 15, Maya didn't go to her mother for anything. She went to Julian. He was her mentor. He was the one who told her she was too mature for boys her age. The one who told her that her mother's depression was a burden only he could help her carry. He was grooming the mother to be dependent so the daughter would be accessible. As the months passed, her world began to shrink, with every interaction manipulated by his careful words. Isolation became her norm, the laughter of friends replaced by whispered doubts, all fed by his insidious influence. Every step she took away from him felt like a betrayal, yet every glance towards freedom was met with mounting fear and hesitation. The shift happened when Maya turned 18. Julian finally moved in. He didn't ask, he was invited. Elena felt it was only fair after 10 years of him sacrificing for them. But the saint started to change. He became the gatekeeper of the finances. He'd moved Elena's inheritance into joint accounts she couldn't access without his signature. And in the quiet of the house, he began the final stage with Maya. "You owe me your life, Maya," he'd say, his hand lingering too long on her shoulder. "I saved your mother from the streets. If you leave for college, she'll fall apart. You need to stay here with me." Maya, 18 and burdened with a decade of indebtedness, stayed. She worked for his firm. She lived in his guest house. She became his shadow. The system failed because it looked like a happy family. The neighbors saw a generous man taking care of a widow and her daughter. They didn't see the mathematics of debt Julian used to keep them. The explosion didn't happen in a church. It happened in a spreadsheet. October 2024. Maya, now 26 and working as a forensic accountant, finally looked at the joint accounts Julian had managed for 18 years. She found the truth. Julian hadn't been spending his own money to save them. He had been embezzling from David's life insurance policy, the one Elena thought was tied up in legal probate. He hadn't been their savior. He had been a thief who used their own money to buy their loyalty. When Maya showed Elena the bank statements, the 18 years of blindness burned away. Elena didn't grab a gun. She grabbed her dignity. She called the police. She waited in the driveway. And when Julian pulled up in his luxury car thinking he was coming home to his subjects, he found a mother who had finally stopped disappearing. Julian Vane is currently awaiting trial for grand larceny and psychological abuse. Maya and Elena are living in a small apartment 3 towns away. They don't have much, but for the first time in 18 years, they aren't indebted to anyone. Grooming isn't always about the act, it's about the architecture. It's about the man who waits for the world to break just so he can be the one to glue it back together, crookedly. If you see someone whose life is being managed by a saint, look closer at the math. Because the most dangerous predators don't hide in the woods. They hide in your bank account, your kitchen, and your gratitude. Thank you for watching True Crime Frontier. Stay safe, stay aware, and never let anyone convince you that you owe them your soul.